What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Dark Previews. I've got 3 picks which I put down that I'm going to take you through today. If that sounds interesting, let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
Before we jump into the picks, we do have to recap the day that was. I shared 3 picks with you in the last video. Bradley Beal got scared and didn't play. Jaden McDaniels sucked and he went under. And Brook Lopez was an absolute beast. So a one-on-one day. But VIP had a great day. 6.3 units up. Profitable on most of the different types of bets that we did. February, we're at 40 units profit on the NBA season. 216 units profit. Went 5-2 on player props today. Jaden McDaniels, his PRA line dropped 24.5. He ended up finishing on 24. He had an atrocious start to the game. He saw a lot of minutes, had a lot of opportunities. He was just awful today. So that sucked. I also bet on Anthony Edwards to make 4 3-pointers today. He was at 2 from 6 by the time he got ejected, but we all know late in the game is when his volume really picks up. We didn't get to see that from Ant today. Too much crying, not enough balling. On to the winners. Brook Lopez over his points and assists. That was a first half cash. Jose Alvarado took him for 19.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Finally on the right side of a hook. He finishes on 20. I honestly was a little bit worried when he got injured. A few people messaged me to say I'm cashing out, and they did. But Jose Alvarado got it done for us today. Took Nikola Jokic over 26.5 points, and he did exactly what I expected him to do. Got a lot of buckets. Took Brolo one-on-one. Cashed that bet. Giannis over his boards. That was easy money there. Read that one perfectly. So just take that down. Giannis against the Nuggets. Take him for rebounds every single time. Zion Williamson took him for over 28.5 points and assists. He went out there. He had a triple cheeseburger. He smashed it. It was a really excellent bet. I love this one. He's playing Phoenix again today. I'm not sure if I take it, but we'll see. Hit a couple of value plays. Giannis, Jokic, Zion. And we also hit a parlay with Zion with Jokic, 2.8 units on that parlay alone. And then we took a bet on some spreads, went 3-1 on the spreads. Pelicans covered, the Warriors covered, the Bucks covered, and the Wolves. Yeah, that game was awful. Like, they started off slow. The ref was blowing the whistle like crazy. The game just seemed really stop and start. Ant was whinging. He gets tossed. The Wolves are getting blown out, and the Wolves come back. They were down by 3 at one point. Eventually, LeBron took over late. But what can you do? So it's part of the reason why I'm wearing a Lakers jersey today. I've made the decision, and I'm declaring it live. I'm going to stop hating on the Lakers because it's costed me money. So I'm going to stop doing that. More Laker props potentially on their way at some point in the future. But in all seriousness, if you do want access to my straight picks, which includes my straight picks on player props and spreads, and you'll get all my DFS pickem entries, I build those things for fun, trying to get out of the hood. You can get that plan for $1 a day. I'll leave a link for that down below. And for VIP, that includes everything plus my value plays. My value plays really drive 80% of the profit and 80% of 216. You do the math. My VIPs, my parlays, that's where the cash comes in. But the regular season, we've got about 2 months left to go. 50% off if you use the code Zion, or you can just use a link down below. Jump in and ride these bets with me. But enough about all that. Let's jump into these picks, shall we? Let's go. Actually, before we jump into the picks, I thought I'd take the opportunity to show you how I get there. I get a lot of comments around, like, I know how to use Props Madness now, but how do you find the players to look for? And pretty much this is it's not my only strategy, but it's one that I tend to look at. First thing I do is I jump on a RotoWire, check to see who's playing, what the spread is, what the total looks like, and then I make my selections like this. So the first thing I do is I eliminate a lot of the games where there's a lot of game time decisions. So Detroit, Denver, that's a good game to bet on. OKC, Atlanta, that's a good game to bet on. Not a good game to bet on, but it's a good game to bet now because we are getting early. I do have to create content for you guys. So those are games I'm not waiting for, pretty much. Then we've got Cleveland versus Boston. Holiday, Brown, they're both game time decisions. So if I take a bet, it'll probably be on the Cleveland side. And we've got Portland versus Brooklyn. Portland have some game time decisions, so I'd only bet on Brooklyn, but who the hell bets on Brooklyn? Toronto versus Chicago. We've got Scotty Barnes as a game time decision, so probably not touching any Raptors props. Chicago, probably take a look at them, but they've got Desonmu, Smith, and Vucevic as game time decisions, so I probably won't bet on them, actually. For the Pacers, they're pretty much as is. McConnell's a game time decision. Miami, Wiggins, and Adebayo game time decisions, so I'm not betting on that. For New York and Memphis, we've got Hart, Towns, and Bain game time decisions, so I didn't even look at that game. And for the Pelicans, Kelly Olynyk could be back, Bradley Beal could be back, so I'm not betting on that game just yet either. And for Minnesota, Anthony Edwards is suspended. Randall is potentially coming back. Rudy could come back. Sexton, Markin, and Collins. So a game filled with game time decisions. And for the Clippers and the Lakers on a back-to-back. Their props aren't even out yet, but chances are we're going to wait for that one too because Norm Powell's a game time decision. So that didn't leave me too much to look at. But from the games that I do have available that I feel confident in betting on, I then just look at who's playing and quickly I can start thinking about matchups. So for this Detroit versus Denver, the first spot that I'm looking at is I know Detroit, they give up a lot of points above the break. Who's going to score from the above the break? Is it a Michael Porter Jr.? Is it a Jamal Murray? Is it Nikola Jokic? Is it Nikola Jokic threes? And then I look at Detroit side and I'm like, Denver give up a ton of assists. Centers tend to eat against the Denver Nuggets. So automatically, Jalen Duren comes to mind. In terms of scoring above the break, Cade Cunningham is a somewhat difficult matchup today. The Denver Nuggets okay in the pick and roll. So someone like a Beasley or a Hardaway, that's someone I'd probably look at. And then for this OKC Atlanta game, with OKC, my strategy is pretty much this. Is it going to be a blowout or not? If not, and it's going to be close, you got to look at SGA points or you got to look at Hartenstein rebounds, but then you got to look, is Chet playing, right? That's pretty much where my mind goes. The other thing I think about is the other team, do they have a ball dominant guard? Because if they do, can we look at an under here? So it's Trae Young today. And yeah, we are looking at an under, but whether it be Anthony Edwards, whether it be Devin Booker, LaMelo Ball, it doesn't matter who it is. If it's a ball dominant guard, potentially look for an under there. Cleveland versus Boston, that's pretty much Cleveland and Boston have some wars. They've got some battles. So I'm really looking at historical trends there. And yeah, they're the main things I'm going to look at today. So all these other games, I really have to wait. I can't make any calls on it just for now. But if you sign up to Winnable, you get to see everything. But hopefully that does help you out on, I guess, how I make how do I land in the picks and how do I start my research. So we're jumping into Props Madness now. This is where I go as soon as I look at RotoWire, then I go straight to Props Madness, see what the hell's going on here. This is the best tool for NBA player props. Everybody's using it. A lot more people are promoting it now, but I ask that you support me, subscribe, check it out. You get a 7-day free trial. You get a 25% discount if you use my code DAFT when you happen to sign up. So let's talk about it. My first bet is in this Nuggets versus Pistons game. And like I said, I like Jalen Duren today. Jalen Duren's got a great matchup. I also know that he's been playing quite well. So I dove a little bit deeper. To be honest, not too deep at all. Once I looked at the line for this, I was like, this is money. So I'm looking at 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Jalen Duren today. You can get a 25.5 on DraftKings. 26.5 is the highest that it is now. I'd still play this at 27.5 if it gets there. For those of you who are probably going to ask me that question, if this line does move. But let's talk about Jalen Duren at 26.5. Now, he's projected to play 28 minutes in this game. The one thing I want to call out in his last matchup against Denver, he had 21 points, rebounds, and assists in 20 minutes. So if he's projected to play 28 minutes, and he does, he probably finishes on about 28, 29 PRA. So you might have a slight edge there based on how he performs against Denver. Now, the last time he played against Denver, this was an infamous game where the Denver Nuggets were getting blown out. They're down 25 in the middle of the third quarter, and the coach pretty much played the bench for the whole game. Even though they caught up, they didn't play the Detroit starters again. But since that game, really, things have really turned around for the Detroit Pistons. They get a chance to make amends here. It's a 1.5 point spread. The Pistons are favorites. I doubt that Jalen Duren only sees 20 minutes because the Detroit Pistons are getting blown out. So it's a different story. The Pistons are playing better. So for Jalen Duren, projected to play 28 minutes, I looked at games where he plays between 25 and 30 minutes. And between 25 and 30 minutes, he's over this in 15 out of his last 27. But if you look a little bit closer, what we can see here is this calendar year, we're looking at the last 15 games. So since that beatdown from Denver on, what was it, the 29th of December, that beatdown happened. We're looking at games in this side of the year, right? So from January onwards, when Jalen Duren plays between 25 and 30 minutes, he's over this line in 12 out of 15 games, averaging 30.6 points, rebounds, and assists. Now, he's got a great matchup when it comes to scoring here. If you have a look here, Jalen Duren, 99% of his points come from within the paint. This Denver Nuggets team, they do allow the 7th most points in the paint in the league. So pretty soft down there. We've seen a lot of centers have success. Similar types of players, 10 out of the last 15 have covered their points line against the Denver Nuggets. And if you look at assists, which is even more arousing, check this out. The hit rate's not the best, but in the right matchup, Jalen Duren can eat up those assists. Against this Denver Nuggets team, 14 out of the last 15 similar types of players have hit their assist prop against them. I honestly, if this was priced a little bit better, I'd just take him for his assist, to be honest. But pretty juiced, which is why I'm running with the PRA. You can see in this assist chart, Jalen Duren, everywhere he likes to get dimes, the Nuggets, they rank in the bottom 10. So great matchup for that. And even rebounds. An excellent hit rate in rebounds, provided he sees more than 25 minutes. Between 25 and 30, averaging 12.7. We've got a rebound line of 10.7 here. I'm just rolling with the PRA. I like his points. I like his rebounds. I like his assist prop. I like them all. So I'm rolling with the PRA for Jalen Duren. There is a risk, though, and it's every time Jalen Duren plays. Jalen Duren, if he finds foul trouble, this bet might be quite difficult to hit. He does lead the league in getting fouls in the first quarter. That's my man, Jalen Duren, right there, but it's the game that we choose to play. My next pick that I'm looking at is in this Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Boston Celtics. And for this one, I'm rolling with Donnie Mitchell today. I think this is going to be a popular angle, popular type of bet. I'm going with his points and rebounds, but I think his points are probably going to be a popular look. I think his rebounds are going to be a popular look. Actually, I know they are. If you saw that, FanDuel just went from minus 120 to minus 138 for his rebounds prop. This is definitely going to move to 5.5. So I'm taking the points plus the rebounds. I got this at 31.5. And it is starting to move to 32.5 already. So I'd still play this at 32.5. Heck, I'd still play this at 33.5, if I'm being honest with you. Any higher than that, it's a no-go for me. But for Donovan Mitchell, the whole angle here is just the matchup against the Boston Celtics. It doesn't have to do with advanced analytics or nothing. Donovan Mitchell, he's over this line in 7 consecutive games against the Boston Celtics. These are the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. They're going to be battling it out. Both teams are going to be motivated as hell. We've got a 2.5 point spread. I'm pretty sure Donovan Mitchell sees more minutes than he has played against most other teams. If we look at how he's played against Boston this season, 3 games against Boston, playing 37 minutes in those games, hit this line on every single one, averaging 42 points and rebounds. He's covered his points line and his rebound line in all 3 of those games, dating back the last 2 years. So Donovan Mitchell, a wonderful pick, an obvious pick, and I think an easy one, which is why the lines are moving so quickly. But what am I going to do? I'm not going to be a snob anymore. Being honest with you, throughout that losing stretch, I'd see plays like this and I wouldn't bet them because they're popular. But I've had to check myself, putting my ego away, because at the end of the day, as long as we all win, that's what matters. So Donovan Mitchell, like him to score, like him to get rebounds. Now, how's he going to score these points? It's quite simple, really. We've spoken about it. The Boston Celtics and the way that they play defense. They allow the 5th most points in the pick and roll. They allow the 2nd most points in isolation. They're not going to let Donovan Mitchell dime other people up. They're happy to play someone like a Donovan Mitchell one-on-one. And we can see it here, 10 out of the last 13 similar types of players against the Boston Celtics have gone over their points line. So that ticks the boxes there. Now, when it comes to rebounds, he's rebounded extremely well, like I said. And how does he get them? Well, the secret here is, well, it's not a secret. Donovan Mitchell's not going to defend Jason Tatum. If Jaylen Brown plays, he's not going to defend him either. He's not going to defend Kristaps Porzingis. He's pretty much going to be guarding low-usage players, hang out on the perimeter, and wait for a chance to take a three-pointer. So Donovan Mitchell, a lot of weak side rebounds. Because the Boston Celtics take that many three-pointers, a lot of the rebounds do happen to be long. And when long rebounds occur, Donovan Mitchell's going to be there to swoop them up. So very simple one, straightforward. But Donovan Mitchell, you can roll with his points. You can roll with his rebounds. I'm just rolling with both. Give me the points and rebounds for Donovan Mitchell. I couldn't choose a favorite. My third pick is in that OKC versus Atlanta game. So funnily enough, I've picked the first 3 games on the slate. But like you saw earlier, these are pretty much the main games where injuries aren't going to make too much of an impact. So I'm taking Trae Young today. I took him under 25.5 points, and this has already started to move since I posted this out to VIP. This will probably be at 23.5, and 23.5. I'd probably still be down to play it if you're getting excellent odds. Plus money odds for 23.5, let's dance. Hopefully you catch this at 24.5. But regardless, I'm taking the under here for Trae Young. Now, he just went under in his last 2 games against the Miami Heat. And those games were somewhat close. Well, one of them was because they won that game. Then Miami came back and flogged them. But the reality is Trae Young had Davion Mitchell on him in the last 2 games. Davion Mitchell was eating him alive. There was a lot of ball pressure. They were blitzing him in pick and rolls. OKC, you could argue this matchup is even worse for Trae Young. Pretty much OKC, third fewest points to pick and roll ball handlers, second fewest points to transition, second fewest points in isolation. They are soft against the spot up, but Trae's not getting many points in the spot up at all. He will find some success baiting them into some free throws because of the amount of ball pressure that's on there. But at the end of the day, the matchup's going to be awful for him. Now, one thing I do in situations like this is I head to NBA.com. I want to show you something. So what I do when I find a pick that I like where it's very matchup defensive, especially if we're taking unders, I go to the box score of the last time that they played each other, and I check to see who is defending who. And I don't do this with every single person, but if I'm looking at unders, this is something I'll do every single time. So what I want to do, I know Trae Young struggled the last time he played OKC, but I want to know who is locking his ass up. So if we look at Trae Young versus OKC, we can see here Lou Dort, Case and Wallace. They were the two main defenders. Lou Dort, Case and Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, and Alex Caruso. Now, Caruso is not going to be there in this game, but regardless, he's going to have his hands full with everybody else. So the torture chamber is in full effect. Case and Wallace should be all over him today. So it's going to be an awful matchup for Trae Young is pretty much what I'm saying. We also have the fact that there could be a blowout here. 12.5 points spread. OKC are on a bit of a road trip at the moment. Let me double check what's happening here. On a road trip. Last game was on the 27th of Feb. That was the last day of the month, right? No. Am I losing my mind here? Potentially. No, they're not on a back-to-back. What am I thinking? The Wolves played today, not the Thunder. So 1 game break. They'll be ready to go. Lou Dort all over Trae Young. I do like his under. In terms of taking any overs for Trae, honestly, the only over I'd consider taking for Trae Young is an over in his turnovers. 5.5 turnovers. Last time he played OKC, he had 10 turnovers in that game. So, just fading the little man that refuses to come home. Like, shave it off, Trae Young. I'm telling you, it's not such a bad look. So those are the 3 picks that I have for you so far. There's a lot more work that needs to be done. There's obviously a lot of games I haven't taken a deep dive into yet because I've got to wait for some lineups. So it's going to be a long night or it's going to be very early morning. I'm not too sure which one it's going to be. In terms of leans, I do have one. And before I take you through that lean, I ask that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on those noties because I'm dropping bangers like this every single day. Help your boy push this out. Get more comments happening in that comment section down below. Let's get this algorithm working for us, not against us, shall we? And once again, I just want to say thank you. The community, I honestly got to tell you, the community that we've got here on YouTube is fantastic. Most YouTube channels, especially in this niche, very toxic in the comments. There's 2 people that I know who happen to comment on every single video and have some negative things to say, regardless of how much we win or lose. But outside of that, a lot of you guys are fantastic. I watch interactions. A lot of y'all are great. So I just want to say thank you for that. Now let's get into this lean because I've only got the one of them. I managed to talk myself out of it, but I talked myself out of the last lean that I had, right? What was it? Buddy Hield. And that was easy money. So hopefully this lean is just as good. Let's go. All right. So heading into this Pacers versus the Heat game, I showed you a bit earlier, the Pacers, no changes with their lineups expected. Everyone should be there. So I'm looking at, and I still might bet this, but I was looking at Aaron Naismith today from the Indiana Pacers, and I looked at his over in points and rebounds. So his hit rate post the All-Star break is fantastic. He's hit this in all 4 games easily. He's absolutely smashed it. Now, Naismith's projected to play 24 minutes in this game. What I did was I looked at games where he plays between 20 and, what was I looking at, 28 minutes, something like that. But the hit rate is pretty good, is what I'm saying here about Aaron Naismith. But I'm also just wanted to look at his last 4 games post the All-Star break. And 20.8 points and rebounds per game. The hit rate on it is good, especially if he gets the minutes. Like, the man's going to get busy. My only concern with Aaron Naismith is the matchup. And when I talk about matchup, he's up against Miami today. And Aaron Naismith does score 35% of his points through spot-up shooting, which is a great matchup against Miami. They allow a lot of points to spot-ups. The problem is they allow the 4th fewest points in transition. Now, if I look at the teams that he's recently played up against, in terms of spot-up shooting, a lot of them have been pretty poor at defending spot-up shooters, so he's got a decent matchup there. If we look at his shot zone. So Aaron Naismith, 33% of his points in the restricted area. The Miami Heat, 9th fewest points in the restricted area. So I was like, oh, maybe it's not so good. Then I went into his second play type, which is transition. And when it comes to transition, he played Memphis, soft as hell. The Clippers, they're 12th, so close to the middle. The Nuggets, 18th, they're worse than average. Toronto Raptors, 20th, almost the bottom 10. Now he's versing Miami, top 4 in terms of points allowed in transition. And I thought, oh, there's a couple of things that make this probably the most difficult matchup he's had since the All-Star break. Not saying he can't hit this, but it is the most difficult matchup he's had. So I was like, no, if I have that much hesitation, I'm probably not going to bet it. But chances are the hit rate's fantastic. He's going to see the minutes, the opportunities. Maybe he still finishes on a 15 PRA because the matchup is difficult, right? Like he's averaging 20 points and rebounds, not PRA. He's averaging 20 points and rebounds. He might finish on 15 points and rebounds because the matchup is somewhat difficult. But that was the only lean that I have for now. Like you saw earlier, a lot of game time decisions, so I do have to wait. So it's a relatively quick video. When I say quick, it's still probably going to be about 20 minutes, but I do appreciate you if you made it this far. Let me know if you did. Drop me something in the comment section, but I'll catch you guys in the next one. Wish you the best of luck. Peace!
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.